All right, so hopefully you're having fun modeling the house. I think I'm going to make this one sort of the final video to the series, or to this week's module rather than the series. That's what I mean. So, what I was thinking is we'll just take a look at this. So, what we have here is this is the front, and I want to kind of just show you a few more elements that I'd like essentially to be done by for your homework for this week. So for example, you want to get these ladders in there, you want to get this front step, things like that. And again, you're going to constantly be modifying, right? Selecting, you want to make sure you're in X-ray mode here, on and off. This is, remember X-ray mode allows you to, as you select things, go between it. That's also Option Z or Alt Z. And you want to, if you see that you're not able to see anything, you can go to solid and then toggle on X-ray mode, and that's another way of seeing through it if you're on material preview mode. All right, so yeah, let's take a look here. What do we got going on? So I'm just gonna hit Option Z or Alt Z to toggle between this. I've got a little deck area, and again, I'd like to maybe extend out this front rock part just a little bit because it's got a little bit bigger of a divot, and we'll take a look at when we get to the modeling section how we can create something like this. So I'm just going to hit the tab key and go to edit mode. Again, if for whatever reason, if that's not working for you, you can switch it up here. Select that front face and bring it out. And then I'm going to hit tab, go back to object mode, and then I'm going to start using, like over here, my add cylinder. I'm going to hold the left mouse button down and I'm going to go ahead and select add cube. And from here, I'm just going to drag out what I think would be essentially that side of that step there. And I'm going to tab here, go to edit mode here, and then press the number 1 or select vertex. Bring that down like that, bring it back a little bit, and just sort of like we made a cut. And again, Option Z to go to X-ray mode to make sure I'm selecting both of these. And I'm just going to sort of design this in a way so that it looks like it's sort of a flat piece. Bring this up a little bit because it looks like it's extending above the. Again, that's when they're looking at your portfolio, they're going to look at does this person see little details like that, right? So this extends a little bit over. And again, I'm just sort of looking, I'm keeping that in mind because this is all going to take some refinement. So I'm going to hit tab, go to object mode, and I want to go back to selecting my move tool here, which you could do by hitting shift and space, or you could press G. And I'm just going to line this up at the edge, and I'm going to hit command and D, or shift D rather, to duplicate. And I'm going to hit escape, and then just move this over to the side here. The next thing I'd like to do is just essentially create this step. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my box tool here and just draw out a cube that's something like this. That goes from end to end. That's a little bit higher. Hit W here, and or sorry, G rather. Just kind of move that in place, and then S, and then X or Y rather. Scale that out. All right, and then what we can do is we have 3 steps here, and this is also getting a little bit in the sticks of the the process of just modeling here. Really, we would probably just build out a ramp here, and then that way we can test it out for design. So I'm going to do that pretty much anyway. So let's duplicate this, Shift D, bring this up and over, and then Shift D one more time, something like that. And I'm going to hit Alt Option Z here so we can see that a little bit better here. And we can see that all 3 of these are a little bit too long. So tab into our edit mode here and just select that front face on all 3 of them. So I'm going to press the 3 key, and then that lets me have face mode, and just select all 3 and shift those in. And those might need to be tweaked a little bit too. So even this, like these 2 guys, we might have to bring out this a little bit more, this, and bring this up. I'm going to push this way in. So just kind of, get an idea. Sort of fiddling around here. You can play with scaling that. Take a look around a little bit. We've got 2 ladders, so we could really just model 1 ladder and lean it. So let's go ahead and do that too. And that one looks like it's inside of there. So I'm going to use my trusty tool here, my add cube tool here, and then just bring this straight up. Shift D here. Nope, let's make sure that we are in object mode here. Shift D and then G X or G, let's see, Y. There we go. Sometimes when I go between Unity and Unreal and Blender and all these different applications. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're kind of different, right? They look like cylinders versus boxes, like which is this guy here. So let's go ahead and just, for the sake of it, let's just create a nice small cylindrical piece here, and that is very high. So I'm going to take this all the way down to maybe 6 sides, because it really doesn't matter. And then if we, and what I mean by that is right now you can see it's kind of hard shaded. If I right click and I do shade smooth, it'll smooth that out. So what I would suggest, and I'm bringing this box up again by hitting shift and spacebar, is as we center this and we duplicate this, right, shift D, we want them to be even. And there are some tools inside of Blender that will do that. Um, and One way to do that is with Shift R. So Shift R redoes the last action, right? So if I do, let's see, let's move this down here. Actually, let's delete that for a second. All right, so let's try it this way. I'm going to do Shift D, and I'm just going to move it straight down here. Then I'm going to hit Shift R and just duplicate it. And this is kind of a quick and easy way to duplicate, but we didn't actually get the exact. It's duplicating at a different increment. So let's kind of do this a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to hit Shift D, and let's try to move it straight down towards the center here. Yeah, something like that. Now when I hit Shift R, we got, here, let's try that one more time. Let's snap to one view and do this. So let's undo this a bunch. Let's try this one more time. So now we have this here. I'm going to hit Shift D and just move straight down. There we go. And because we're locked into one view, it shouldn't mess with it. Now we've got more of these spokes than that are in our reference, and I think that's okay. So let's try this one more time. Shift D, move it straight down and really space that out a little bit like that. Now when I hit Shift R, it's a little bit better. And what I want to do too is I want to combine all these together. So I'm going to hit Control J for that. And with all of those pieces selected, I held Shift to select them. And then I'm going to go to Object here, set origin, origin to geometry, and that'll center it. And I'm going to hold Alt and just snap to my side view here. And then Tab, again, go to Edit mode. And I'm just going to thin this out a little bit. It's a little bit too fat. Again, I'm just eyeballing a lot of this stuff. And again, we're just training our eyes at this point. So in the next set of videos, I'm going to talk about incremental snapping and how you can measure and all that good stuff. But yeah, so let's go ahead and um, hold Alt and X, and or toggle extra mode, or it's Shift C, or Alt Z rather. And let's just place this here. And we'll go ahead and just kind of rotate this back a little bit. And we could always modify this, but let's hit Shift D one more time because we're going to need a ladder over here. And we need to definitely give ourselves a little bit more space on that bottom part than the top part. So we'll handle that in a second. But now we have one ladder here. And then let's handle our rotation here. And let's grab our move tool and just place that where it needs to be. And we're going to have to, obviously play with the bottoms there because those we'll grab those verts and flatten it out. But for this stage in the game, I think we're pretty good. And we also might have to delete that top spoke there because there is no top spoke. All right, back to this guy. Let's Let's get rid of some of these rotations. We've got rotating. Let's see. We want to rotate it on our x. So let's zero that out and see what that gives us. And then we want to rotate it this way. So let's move this down and move this in. And then same thing here, tab. And make sure to save often. I was afraid for a moment there that I actually froze. So select this front face, move it out. And then tab, object mode, select these guys. I'm holding shift. Let's hit W a few times so we grab our box selection tool. So something like this. And then I'm going to shift click off of these. Come on. Wow, it is being finicky. Just want to move these out a little bit. Like that. And a couple of these are going to be sitting underneath this deck. So we'll get to that later when we actually build the deck. And I mean, we could almost do that right now. Let's object, set origin to geometry. S and Z, scale that down. Bring that up. Shift D, G and Z, bring that down. Hit S to scale that in a little bit, and then S and Z to scale it up. S and Z, there we go. So we got a little bit of our deck going. And so what I'm challenging you to do is do your best to get the chimney, um, this little piece of wood that comes out here. Try to figure out how you can model out this. This would be a pretty challenging thing if you're not used to it. Um, and that's kind of your assignment, right? It's going to feel a little bit overwhelming, but I want you to get the patio furniture in there, these chairs, things like that. And I think that would be a good challenge for you guys. All right. And then next week we'll continue to. I think what we'll do is instead of jumping right into measurements and all that stuff in Unreal, we'll just continue on with this. We'll do some advanced modeling with their unwrap it and texture it, and then we'll talk about game design increments and stuff like that.